I had the Sega Genesis as a kid. I had all the Sega consoles, and now there is a new Sega Genesis Retro console. At Games has a new HDMI compatible Sega Genesis Flashback. Let's get right into the box and take a look at it. The packaging is nicer. This looks like the NES Classic. They clearly took a note from them. There are 85 games, okay, but they're not all Genesis games. The list showed a lot of games that seem like they were from the Sega Master System, and also a handful we don't even know about. They could be totally random games, which is pretty common for these systems. The Genesis games, the big ones, are featured here. You got Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle. That's not the best Alex Kidd game. I like the one for Master System. Kid Chameleon, great underrated game. You've got the Sonic games. That's great. Phantasy Star games, sure. Shining Force 2, really good role-playing game. There's no Echo the Dolphin, though. There's no Streets of Rage games at all. That's weird. They just got dropped. No third-party games, so you're not going to find any Aladdin or, you know, that 7-Up game that I used to play. Jewel Master, that's okay. eSWAT's pretty good. Shakan the Forever Man, very good. You don't want to play Virtua Fighter 2. That is a really bad port of a Sega Saturn game. Vector Man, cool game. So there's a good handful in here at least. Let's take a look at what it looks like. Certainly looks like a Genesis. It doesn't look exactly like the original Genesis though when you open it up. Now you got a poster here. Ooh. I don't know, it's like not the greatest. This is not a great poster. It's a very retro, not really a true retro poster. It's kind of lame. Has Phantasy Star 4 Mortal Kombat on it. Okay, whatever. And it's a basic instruction manual. We'll get back to that. Here is the Flashback. It's like a much smaller Sega Genesis. It's bigger, though, than the NES Classic. We don't know how this compares to the Super NES Classic because we don't have one of those yet. But it's got a power switch. It's got the menu reset button. It also has a cartridge slot. This thing can play old Genesis cartridges, so it's also a complete retro game system. It sounds too good to be true. HDMI on the back. Power adapter. So this is 720p HDMI. And there are 2 traditional controller ports if you happen to have Sega Genesis controllers lying around that you actually want to plug into this. The 2 that come with it, these are wireless. Now, they don't look exactly like the original Sega Genesis controllers, and they don't feel like them. This D-pad is super wobbly, and these buttons feel pretty hollow and flimsy. There's also a third button here. There's Start, Menu, and Rewind. This says Game Rewind, so not just save games, but to back up while you're playing the games, like Game DVR. That sounds great. Is that going to work really well? We'll have to see. And there's also Player 1, Player 2 toggle up here, so we'll have to try that out. And we'll see how the wireless works, whether you have to be in direct range or not with these. So there are 2 controllers. Open them up here and you'll be able to pop the batteries in. No, you can't just open them up. They have to unscrew. So bring a screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver, and you can exchange the batteries. There's the Sega Genesis Flashback. Here is an HDMI cable that comes with it. And there is the power adapter plug. So that's all that's in the box, plus this commemorative egg crate. So that's Sega Genesis Flashback. Now, you could actually plug in old Genesis games, which we do have lying around. Here's Aladdin. And you should be able to pop this in and play your games in HDMI. So that's how Sega Genesis Flashback looks, but how does it actually play? Well, we're gonna get to that soon. We're gonna play as many of these games as we can with as many people as we can. Sonic, Phantasy Star, Golden Axe, and no Streets of Rage. So stay tuned on CNET.com.